Okay, that sounds great. So we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. I do know a couple more of my folks are trying to get on, so they may join, but of course they're usually in listen only mode. So we're going to call to order. As a reminder, this is a new format for us. You could see that in the public notice. So if you wouldn't mind, before speaking, if you would please spell your name. We're going to try and capture the minutes through through captioning, excuse me, but it is a bit sluggish, and that will help with the recording. So with that, let's first do introductions, since I know a few folks are in the Nashville office, but I'll go ahead and start. This is Sherry Ernst from Covenant Health, and we'll just do round robin. Since Patrick is online, we'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself, Patrick.
This is Patrick Sullivan, and I'm with Blue Care.
All right, and we will go to the Nashville office. And Lisa, if you want to start and then just do round robin in the office.
This is Lisa Jordan. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for the TennCare Oversight Division, and I serve as the designee on the panel for the Commissioner of Commerce and Insurance.
Good afternoon. This is Kim Meltempo. I'm Vice President of Operations for United Healthcare.
All right, I think that is everyone. We'll go ahead and go to the agenda. So first up, we will go ahead and, Lisa, I assume you're doing this review of the independent review and provider complaints for the fourth quarter of 2025.
This is Lisa Jordan, and actually, I would like to ask Regina Nelson to do those reports. Regina is now the compliance officer for the TennCare Oversight Division. She has taken Patricia Newton's role, and so going forward, she'll be presenting these reports to the panel.
Regina, this is Sherry Ernst. Did you want to begin your presentation?
It seems like Regina's microphone is having some problems, so give us just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Regina Nelson, and just checking, can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And you wanted me to spell my name?
That'd be great. Thank you.
REGINANELSON.
Thank you, Regina.
Okay, we'll begin with the summary of provider complaints for calendar year 2025. Beginning with WellPoint, as you can see from the report, the reversals top the upheld by a nominal margin for 53 for the first quarter, a total of 90 in the second quarter, with 70 in the third quarter, and then 51 in the final quarter. And then we also had a few Cover Kids provider complaints for CY 2025. There were very few. There were 4 in the first quarter and 3 in the third quarter for a total of 7. And then overall, there were 264 provider complaints for WellPoint in calendar year 2025. And that was for TennCare. Moving on to Medicaid Advantage or the DSNP plans. For the first quarter, we had 6, second quarter 4, third quarter 2, and then the fourth quarter, we had actually 6. For the DBM in the first 3 quarters of calendar year 2025, which was DentaQuest, in the first quarter, we had a total of 3. In the third quarter, we had 2, none in the second quarter, as you can see in the report. Fourth quarter, there was only 1. And then TennCare contracted with a new dental benefit manager on November 1st of 2025, and that is Renaissance. And so for the fourth quarter for DBM, we had 4 provider complaints. And then also for Optum RX, we only had 1 provider complaint for the entire year. And that would have been our PBM. Are there any questions on WellPoint?
This is Sherry Ernst, and maybe you answered this, but just to be sure, it looked like there was quite a big jump. Well, I say a big jump since 2020. It seems like the number from previous years has been continuing to increase. Is there a specific theme associated with those increases?
For which line of business?
Well, it's the summary at the bottom of the 2025 quarter 2 provider complaint summary. It just says it's a cumulative number compared to previous years. It's the bottom of page 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hadn't gotten that far.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong summary.
No problem.
Let me scroll back. So there's a decrease between over year for independent review. Okay, I'm with you.
I'm actually on provider complaints.
Oh, okay. That's what I was talking about. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up visually. So on the provider complaints, bottom of page 5, it looked like there was an increase since 2019. And it's fairly significant. It looks like this is rivaling 2018 and 2017 numbers.
Well, I think that can be attributed to, various issues. One might be delays in payments. I think that might be one that we could look to. And then when you look at 2019 at 553 and then 2024 at 1014, and you can also look at, there were some issues with DME providers. So that could be part of the increase.
This is Lisa Jordan, and Sherry, I would also say that, of course, it does vary. We see ups and downs in the number of provider complaints that we receive, but as Regina just mentioned, there was a spike in complaints we received from a particular durable medical equipment provider. We also had some complaints that came in due to TennCare moving the processing of crossover claims to the MCOs. And we saw a spike in provider complaints then. And of course, this was a new process. So we hadn't seen those complaints before. So I think that is probably driving most of the increase that you see.
Thanks, Lisa. I think that's very helpful. All right, Regina, this is Sherry. If you want to continue, I'm sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no, not at all. A great question. Moving on to United Healthcare, this is the bottom of page 2. So for United Healthcare in the first quarter, we saw 31 provider complaints with the majority reversed. For the second quarter, we saw 29, again with the majority reversed. And in the third quarter, it kind of got turned around. No, I'm sorry. The majority was reversed in the third quarter for a total of 37. And then in the fourth quarter, that's where we saw a turnaround. There were a total of 32, and half of those were upheld. For Medicare Advantage SNP, we had a total of 9. In Medicare Advantage and SNP in quarter 2, we had a total of 10. Total of 22 in the third quarter, and then the fourth quarter, 11. We actually received a a PC from Mississippi Medicaid, and it was, of course, ineligible, but we do count it. And Cover Kids, we received a total of 1. And so for the total for calendar year 2025 for United was 129. Any questions on United? Okay, we'll move ahead with Volunteer State Health Plan. For the first quarter, VSHP had 101 provider complaints that we received. In quarter 2, we received 145. In the third quarter, we received 133, and in the fourth quarter, 104. These were TennCare provider complaints, and the majority were reversed. We did receive some provider complaints for Cover Kids members or providers, and those totals were 7 in quarter 2 and 5 in the third quarter, and then 5 for Medicare Advantage for VSHP, and the total for the year was 483. Then we move over to Medicare Advantage SNP. In the second quarter, there were 11, 21 in the third quarter, and 21 in the fourth quarter. We have received some PCs where Ambetter was the subject of the complaint. I think we had one of those. Of course, it went to Consumer Insurance Services as a commercial plan. We had one from Molina that was ineligible. We had a commercial PC for Blue Cross, for Cigna. There was one for each of those. And then HealthSpring, Medicare Advantage, we had one. We had one that we couldn't identify, and then one from Centera Health. So the providers that took advantage of the TennCare oversight provider complaint process for the calendar year of 2025 received a total of $7,797,023 in paid claims. Any questions on provider complaints? Okay, we'll move on to the independent reviews for calendar year 2025. WellPoint had a total of 25, with 4 in the first quarter, 3 in the second, 14 in the third, which was the highest number, and then 4 in the fourth. There were quite a few that were settled for the provider, and about the same number reversed and upheld. In United Healthcare, there was a total of 14 independent review requests for a total of 5 in the first quarter, 1 in the second quarter, 3 in the third quarter, and 4 in the fifth quarter. And those numbers were pretty even, as you can see from the report. For VSHP, there was a total of 41, and most of those were in the third quarter. There was a total of 31, and an equal number of reversals and settlements. There was 1 in the first quarter, 1 in the second, and 8 in the fourth. As you can see from the report, as usual, the hospitals topped the number of independent reviews with 31, but we did have the durable medical equipment provider that filed quite a few independent reviews. That most of those were a result of a denial on a provider complaint. They had an equal number of requests for independent review as the hospitals. And as you can see from the comparisons, the total number of independent reviews have fallen off quite a bit, and we attribute that to some some changes with hospital providers over the last few years. Those providers that took advantage of the independent review process saw a return of $586,096 for calendar year 2025. Any questions on the independent reviews? Thank you very much.
So if there are no questions, this is Sherry Ernst. Regina, did you want to proceed with the report on prompt pay compliance?
Sherry, this is Lisa Jordan, and I'll give that report.
Great, thank you, Lisa.
Since our last panel meeting, the TennCare Oversight Division has evaluated compliance with the prompt pay statute for the months of September 2025 through February 2026. Just noticed that on the summary report that you were given, there are a couple of typos. On the second page, it says January 25. That should be January 26, of course. And then instead of February 25, that should be February 26. I apologize for those errors not being caught before the report was submitted. The only noncompliance that we found during this period was for DentaQuest, which Regina mentioned earlier. DentaQuest was TennCare's dental benefits manager up until November, at which point Renaissance took over. That DentaQuest was still responsible for running out claims after November. So that's why we continued testing their prompt pay compliance for the months of November, December, January, and February. DentaQuest was not in compliance with the standards for Cover Kids in January and did not meet the prompt pay standards for February for either the TennCare or the Cover Kids claims. I will say that there were, as the number of claims being processed got smaller, it only took a few claims not meeting the standard to impact the overall percentages. So while we're continuing to monitor that run out, we're not overly alarmed at seeing that non-compliance. Everyone else, all the other MCOs were in compliance for total claims processed for TennCare and Cover Kids. Renaissance was in compliance since it has begun in November. And also the pharmacy benefits manager, Optum RX, has continued to be in compliance relative to prompt pay. So that's the report. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, if there are no questions, this is Sherry Ernst again. We'll proceed to new business.
This is Lisa Jordan, and I don't have any new business to bring to the panel at this time.
Thanks, Lisa. This is Sherry again. I do have something that my team wanted to ask that I think may be affecting other providers in the state. Basically, it has been brought to our attention that United, so Kim, hopefully this will make some sense, has been adding primary payers to their members' COB that don't belong to them. And it's actually created a couple privacy breaches on our side. When we've asked the provider rep what's going on with that, she said that they've been getting their COB information from the state. So we wanted to confirm how that verification is happening to ensure that if we're checking Tennessee anytime, that the COB has been updated correctly and timely.
Hi, Sherry. This is Kim Tempo representing United. I am aware of some of these issues. We do get our COB information from the state. I think that there have been some one-off instances like you are referring to, but we are still investigating with our eligibility team. So I can follow up with you offline if you like on some instances that we have seen through the provider rep. But we are investigating what is going on, but we do receive that information from the state.
Well, so Kim, this is Sherry. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for that.
Yeah.
So Lisa, I think that, is there any follow through? Because I mean, while I appreciate Kim offering to connect us with the provider rep, I think our team is doing that. So again, thank you, Kim. But
Mhm.
does it make sense that the Tennessee Anytime would not be updated?
So we do not as United, we do not control Tennessee
Right.
Anytime. So I couldn't, from a United standpoint, I couldn't answer the Tennessee Anytime perspective. I will say that, we do update our systems based on the information we get from the state. When we do get inquiries in, we also do look at Tennessee Anytime to see if everything is matching. At that point, if there is not a match, we are generally going back to the state to inquire about the Tennessee Anytime information that we're finding. So I'll just, from an MCO perspective, again, we're sort of we are
Correct.
relying on the information, right, that we're receiving from the state.
Correct. Yeah.
Sherry,
Go ahead, Lisa. Sorry.
I apologize for talking over you. This is Lisa Jordan. And to piggyback on what Kim just said, we, Commerce and Insurance, also doesn't have any oversight in or ability to specifically address that issue with Tennessee Anytime. I can put you in touch with the MCO operations people at the division of TennCare, and maybe they can assist in getting this issue straightened out. But I don't have anything that I can do personally,
Right.
or Commerce and Insurance can do to resolve this particular issue.
Lisa, this is Sherry Ernst. Thank you so much for that. I would appreciate the contact. Again, I just feel like if we can escalate it, it would help all providers if they're experiencing the same thing. So with that said, do we want to go ahead and look at another date for our next meeting?
This is Lisa. Yes, I think that's a good idea.
This is
Um,
Sherry. So, Lisa, did you say October or November?
Generally, October or November are the months that we meet in the fall.
This is Sherry
And
again. I'm so sorry.
no, I'm sorry too. I think probably either the later half of October or the 1st of November would work best for most people.
Kim, this is Sherry. Patrick, this is Sherry. Any preferences?
Sherry, this is Kim Maltempo. I agree. The later in October, beginning of November, I don't see anything that would prevent us from attending at that time.
Okay. What about, is this Sherry? What about October 27th?
This is Lisa. October the 27th works for me.
This is Kim. October 27th also works for me.
And this is Pat. October 22nd would be fine for me as well.
All right, this is Sherry. We will go ahead and set the date for October 27th, 1 p.m. Central Time. And if there's no other new business, we'll go ahead and adjourn for today.
Thank you.